Welcome back, everybody, to the show. A lot to discuss, starting with what we discussed on the morning show, which, by the way, if you didn't catch the morning show, big announcement. The regular daily live stream in the morning is no more. We'll do one live stream on the weekend, and then all of our normal content beyond that gets uploaded on the channel and podcast platforms will stay as usual. But we discussed the bad jobs report, and I have a Trump reaction to it that should send shivers down one's thou's spine. There we go. I was trying to think of a not thou. That's not it. I think I messed up on that. But before getting to that, here is Fox Business reporting on it, and I don't know why they have 7 people on this panel. For one, that's a lot of people. Okay, but number 2, they report on all of these jobs reports coming in like they're waiting for a declaration of war from the president. Watch Maria Bartiromo. I mean, she's covering 9/11 right now. The way that she handled it's a bad jobs report for sure, but the way that she like pauses and touches her earpiece and stuff, it's a little bit dramatic.
The NASDAQ down about 200 going. 73,000 jobs. 73,000 jobs created in the month of July. Number just coming out.
And that's total.
4.2.
And when we have breaking news from Washington, the president has just declared war on the Penguin Island.
2% of the unemployment rate, right in line with expectations. Here are the numbers. For the month of July, jobs came in at 73,000. That was lower than the expectation, which called for 110,000 jobs. The unemployment rate right in step with expectations at 4.2%. Steve Moore, your reaction.
Look, I think this is all a result, this disappointing number is a result of all the turmoil over tariffs and the trade wars.
You think? Maria Bartiromo later in that segment was like, I think it's because of Jerome Powell. Poor Jerome. Everyone's just crapping all over him. But the more notable part, even than the 73,000 jobs, and it being under expectations, is the revisions that came along with this to the previous 2 months. New York Times reports employers pull back on hiring as uncertainty weighs on plans. You have the number that was already reviewed there. An indication that the labor market was not as resilient as it seemed earlier this year. Job gains from the previous 2 months were also revised down by a total of 258,000. An unusually high number that came as a surprise. Now, I'm remembering back to the largest revision, if I remember correctly, for a month was like, maybe it was 40,000 or 80,000. And there was still, job growth. Okay. But that was back during the Biden term. And Trump was posting Kamala crash, Trump cash, and we're about to go into a recession because there was 1 month that was revised significantly. Now you have these 2 months that give us a more accurate look at the last few months of the job market, and it's not great. It's significantly slowing, completely contrary to pre-Trump era expectations about the Trump era or about the next few months and years given what Trump inherited. And it just flies in the face of what we were being told all over conservative media when the GDP report came in, and they were acting like it proved Trump was a brilliant man. And remember that, and then we'll look at Trump's reaction. Remember that, as I'll continue to repeat, the bumps now, the problems that we're seeing pop up in the economy as a direct impact of Trump's tariff approach are nothing even like what we would have seen if he had gone through with the full extent of his tariff. So imagine how correct we were to say, as much as I hate to be correct on this, that this economic approach is not good if we're already seeing some of these concerning signs and he's been delaying most of the tariffs most of the time. So he didn't even go through with his retribution day tariffs. The stock market's doing great because people are assuming at every turn he's just going to back off and he's going to chicken out. And still, this uncertainty is causing negative effects. So you can only imagine if he does finally decide to charge forward on the full extent of his plan that he keeps delaying, how bad it could actually be. While we look at this next part, please do, if you appreciate this show, click the subscribe button. And then if you want to get the bonus show, click the join button. We have lots of fun on the bonus show. So ASIN posted, Trump announces he has directed his team to fire the Commissioner of Labor Statistics. His response to a jobs market that's not looking as good as we thought is not to go, maybe my economic approach isn't the smartest like I thought. And instead it's to say, let me get a loyalist in there to fudge the numbers. He said important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They can't be manipulated for political purposes. The opposite of what he means. They can't be accurate. They need to be manipulated for political purposes. So this is a long post. I don't know how much of it I'll read, but I was just informed, he writes, that our country's jobs numbers are being produced by a Biden appointee, the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who faked the jobs numbers before the election to try to boost Kamala's chance to victory. False. This is the same Bureau of Labor Statistics that overstated the jobs growth in March 2024 by approximately 818,000, and then again right before the 2024 presidential election. Again, he's misarticulating what happened here, but there were revisions for sure. And the collective, I guess, if you add up all the revisions of the changes of the year, then you get the number that he's saying. And this is what they do. As we get more data, they go back and they alter it. And now he is the one experiencing the PR problems along with that, but not doing any introspection. And eventually he gets to the part saying that we need accurate jobs. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. She said that there were only 73,000 jobs added, a shock, but more importantly, that a major mistake was made by them. 258,000 jobs downward in the prior 2 months. Similar things happened in the first part of the year, always to the negative. The economy is booming on Trump. So he's pretty transparently indicating there that us always going back, as they're always doing, and making sure we have the accurate numbers as we get in more data, that shouldn't be allowed, and that numbers should be put out that make him look good. Chris Hayes said, a little hard to communicate to normies just how bad/dangerous this is. But yeah, in response to someone saying Banana Republic hours. And this came right after Steve Bannon was calling for a MAGA Republican to run the Bureau of Labor Statistics after dismal jobs report. So don't change the policies, just change the people. Change the people who are giving us the stats, which, to Chris Hayes' point, it's hard just when we're talking about numbers and reports for this to really take hold in people's minds of how dangerous that is. But we've seen this across the administration. They are charging forward. I have some example in some segment, eventually we'll get to it, of them trying to take out of, the outlining of our history, Trump's impeachment. And it's always about changing the source of the information, not adjusting course because of the information that you're getting. You had Republican Senator John Kennedy on Fox News responding to this news and being folksy as ever.
Everybody in Washington now seems to be an economist, and some of them just don't know what they're talking about. Taking their advice is like, it's like taking the advice of a nun about sex. And a lot of them are trying to score points.
Do we need that for every single one, every single television appearance, John?
You're Willie Nelson high.
We need every time to have it. It's like asking a farmer about a blah. It's like asking Luke Beasley how to milk a cow. The cow's jokes are back. It's like asking the sober person what the best drink, blah, 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 blah. Okay, everything. All right, well, sorry. let him make his point.
It's like taking the advice of a nun about sex. And a lot of them are trying to...
Well, okay, but what happened with the nun? Was she... I don't know, some nuns come out of a life of crazy living and then they become a nun, right? They were having so much sex that they wanted to change their lifestyle. Is that how nuns work? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know about this nun. Tell me more about the nun. Tell me more about the nun and her sex life. John, please, I'm curious.
Score political points. Let me try to be as objective as I can. It wasn't a good jobs number. It wasn't. The job market is softening. Our business people are creating fewer jobs. But on the other hand, Unemployment stayed steady at 4.2%. We had job growth last month, annualized about 3%. Inflation has not.
He meant GDP growth. Okay, he doesn't even know what he's saying. Okay, John.
You're Willie Nelson high.
All right. Then CNN was discussing the brilliance or lack thereof of Trump's trade policy.
This other thing is, what is the end goal in your view of the tariff policy? Because I understand the investments, but when you look at the numbers that we're looking at today, Donald Trump says tariffs are good, so you would expect him to want tariffs to be sky high because they're good in his mind. But what he's done is he's brought tariffs down, whether or not you've negotiated with him or not. So what's the point of a negotiation with Trump when he's just going to pick a random number?
Look, what he is doing is forcing these countries that have forever had barriers to entry to U.S. goods, that have had tariffs on U.S. products. Okay. He is forcing them to renegotiate.
Yeah,
and when you have,
let me give you a concrete example.
When you have the EU that has put price controls on U.S. prescription
drugs. The EU is a great. I'm glad you brought it up, Congressman, because the EU is a great example. He brokered a deal with the EU. The Americans are paying higher tariffs. 15% or so now on most goods. They did not renegotiate pharmaceutical prices, agricultural barriers, digital services taxes. They didn't touch any of those things in the EU deal. Why not?
Again, the tariffs are on if you're importing goods from the EU. What we have been able to secure is not only investment from the EU, but a reduction in barriers to entry for U.S. products into the EU.
That's brutal. It's really brutal hearing them try to defend, because I don't think that Mike Lawler agrees with this in principle. If you just asked him before the whole Trump era, all right, let me lay out for you. Imagine that you come into office and you just start screaming at all your allies and you slap these huge tariffs and then you remove them and then you slap them again and you remove them and you slap them again and then you remove them and you delay 9 days, you delay 10 days, you slap them again, you delay them, and then you do all that for the sake of trade deals. And in the trade deals, you don't actually get concrete commitments, but just vague platitudes. And we've already seen that Trump has made such deals where they don't end up following through on the investments, or their investments already would have happened. And maybe you get a little 1% benefit from it. Do you think that's a good trade policy? Mike Lawler would go, no. But because... Whoa. Who even was that? Wait. We have breaking news from New York City. What is this?
Not at all.
That's Joe Biden. Yeah, it is. And so then they just kind of squirm around, and it's really uncomfortable. So that's one. You can deal with this as a factual matter, then try to spin it, or you can just do the spin. Don't even worry about the facts. Just spin it. The conclusion of this Newsmax host was good news all around, ladies and gentlemen.
The month of July, unemployment rate ticks up 0.1 of 1 percentage point to 4.2, 73,000 jobs created. Unemployment rate is expected, jobs a little bit below what Wall Street expected at 110,000, but I would say mostly in line with expectations.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, good.
So there we go.
Good news all around.
All right.
Hey, where'd you get that from? That's so awesome. Listen.
Yeah, good.
So there we go.
Good news all around.
Good news all
we'll
around.
have more on that.
Slowest job growth over the last few months since the pandemic. Good news all around. Great. Just golden age. And right now, I just want to play this clip, but I guess the transition is, how is this going to impact the midterm? Speaking of the midterms, I'm so glad you brought it up. So Winsome Earl Sears, who is the lieutenant governor of Virginia, running to be governor, the Republican nominee, running against the Democrat, Abigail Spanberger, was on CNN. And I don't even know what you call this, but just utterly unwilling to engage with the questions being asked.
Well, right. Let's talk about what's happening going forward.
If you want to talk about,
I want to ask you about something that's happening right now in Virginia.
Joe Biden, almost 100% of the time. Do you want to talk about my opponent supporting Biden 100% of the time? Do you want to talk about the past where she is part of the Clinton machine? Do you want to talk about the past where the rogue nations of the world understood that Joe Biden was not altogether there and they were with him and saw saw his actions where he was delayed? Do you want to talk about where my opponent has said that she was always in the room with Joe Biden, and so she knew that he was in cognitive decline, and yet she didn't.
Cognitive decline. Take a drink. That's going to be so funny in the midterms. Because the reason this all got prompted, and I'll play the rest of it, but the host was asking, hey, you said critical things about Trump in the past. This is going to be a big part of the midterms, is where do you stand on Trump given all this? And he's going to be kind of politically toxic, but they don't want to abandon him. And so she was going, I don't want to talk about the past. And that's why she keeps repeating, you don't talk about the past. And it's going to be so funny and aggravating to see the extent of the Joe Biden element, where anytime they're asked about anything, it's gonna be, oh yeah, what about Joe Biden's cognitive decline? Like, what do you think about Trump's tariff approach and how it's causing prices to go up? Well, Biden's cognitively impaired.
Nothing. She said nothing.
Yeah.
That's not what somebody who can be governor
I will
of
tell you.
Virginia.
Lieutenant Governor, I will tell you. Hold on. Let me just get in, because we've actually tried. We've tried to talk to Abigail Spanberger.
The right thing.
You're
Lieutenant Governor. The right thing. You're trying to trap me, and that is not why I'm here.
No one's trying to trap you.
The politics of old. Yes, you are, and I'm from a third world country where I've seen this happen. I did not think that here in America we would be talking like this. The people want to.
It's just what? You're from a third world country, and that has to do with what? Manu Raju's trapping you? Like they trap people in third world countries? I don't even know the connection there. I will not stand for this happening in the United States. What? He's asking you about your support for the leader of your party.
Here in America, we would be talking like this. The people want to talk about the issues.
And I want to ask about the issue right now. There's an issue that I want to ask you about right now. And just to.
You brought up Clinton. People want to talk about the kitchen table issues like Hillary Clinton. All right.